G'day guys, Craig here again with a special episode this time. We're calling this one Raised Rails, and if you did notice in the intro there that we are actually at the Dandenong station, and I'm here with my good friend Ron, and Ron's a little bit of a historian here, and the reason we're doing this today is there's two reasons. We've got a new project happening here at Dandenong and it's going right through to the city. They're taking out all the level crossings. So we thought we'd have a look at that and have a look at some of the big cranes that are working. They've got the big gantry cranes, and we'll have a look at some of the bridges are already done, and we'll be able to drive under those. The level crossings have actually already been removed. I think they're up to about halfway.
Yeah, they're halfway through.
So we've had to get cracking on this to get the footage of the before and after. So today we're going to be doing before, and we're also looking at the environment issues. They are apparently putting a lot of wildlife parks and parkland underneath the new tracks on where the old tracks were. So we're going to be having a look at that, and obviously this is a two-part. We'll need to revisit that when they're finished to see what they've done there. So what we're going to do is the first part of this journey is to go and purchase our ridiculous Mikey card that I've been told is fairly ridiculous. We're going to go and see how that goes. So we need to go down into the station now and get a card. And we won't be travelling from here because the trains have all been cancelled from here to Westall, is that right, Ron?
That's right, mate. Yeah,
okay, Westall station. So we'll have to drive to Westall, which we will. Otherwise we would have had to take a bus, obviously, but we've got our crew here today, so we're going to drive. We're going to be driving alongside the track on the road to see the progress on the track and parts that are closed at the moment, and then we'll be getting onto the train and we'll be going on some of the track that's actually completed, I think. And see the further works up further the track near Melbourne where the gantry cranes are. So let's go and have a look at that. We'll start now. We're going to go and get our Mikey tickets.
Let's see if we can get a Mikey ticket.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are a little bit further on from Dandenong now. We've just passed Yarraman Station, and what we're looking at here, let's just wait for this big tractor to go past. We've got the start of the raising of the tracks. So if you pan around up to my background, we'll see the track being raised here. You can see all the equipment, the guys have got all their cranes and things here. If we look up on the track, you'll see around, we're panning down now the other side, that goes down towards Corrigan Road. The Corrigan Road bridge is already made and the tracks have been removed and the cars are going underneath the track. The road's open again. The removal has been removed, the crossing. So we're going to go now and have a look at that. We're going to go and drive under that bridge now for our first one. So let's have a look at that. Okay guys, so we're travelling down towards, just coming out of Noah Park. We've gone underneath the new railway, and as you can see the level crossing has been removed. That road is open, and we're travelling now on the southern side. We were on the north side before, so we've come under that road, and we're just going to travel down here a little bit further to have a look at the track laying machine. And here it is here, and this machine actually lays the sleepers and the track at the same time, and the guys on the side have to keep feeding the machine to continue it laying the tracks down. So they're putting sleepers in, and the track's obviously from somewhere. We didn't see the guys doing that, but that's what is required. And so that's just laying the tracks right along the whole track. As you can see up here, all the new track being laid. And I'll look at the overhead supports here, and you can see there's two arms to support two different sized trains. The old supports can't do that. As you can see now, here's some of the old supports, fairly different. So they're going to be all removed, and the whole track, my understanding, is getting these new supports. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, and the signalling has been upgraded and everything as well. And this brings us up to the next area where we're going to have a look here. I believe there's a test train coming up here. Here it comes now, the test train. Now this track's not open yet. It is open now when you see this video, but this is a test train that they're running on the tracks at the moment. And it's going up to Springvale and it'll come back again. And speaking of Springvale, we're coming up to Springvale station now, and we're going to look at the track where it goes down underground. But just before I do that, I want to mention about the electric trains can handle up and down hills. This is where these tracks are going over the roads, because at electric can pull uphill, and steam trains couldn't do that. In the old days, the track had to be very flat, so that's not an issue anymore with electric trains.
They completed about 2 years ago. This intersection down here with Springvale Road was busy. Peak hour, non-peak hour, it didn't matter. There was always cars piling up.
Yep.
As you see now, we get straight through, and that's almost not possible.
Just explain to the viewers, the rail has gone under the road in this
Right
case.
underneath, and it's turned out to be quite successful.
Yep.
The rail starts to come back now to level ground as it heads down towards Westall Road.
And here comes these pillars, they come back out. There's a train. I think that was funded by Kingston Council.
Oh, right.
That's why that was completed early.
It's a very up-to-date modern station, and there's no drug addicts on the platform selling drugs.
Wow.
And the Springvale station, if you wanted drugs, that's where you went.
Yeah, well, I don't know where I'm going to go now.
It's been cleaned up. It really has been cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll happen with a lot of the stations that they're modernising.
Yes, for sure, yes.
Security, you'll become tighter.
Yep, more lighting.
Yep, cameras. It's less likely to commit crime.
Yep. Well, Ron knows this area very well. Ron's a little bit of a historian in this area, so that's why I've let him take over a little bit now on the drive. And so it looks like at this point we'll stop here and we'll have a look when we get to close to the Westall station. Okay, we've just arrived at the Westall station, and we're going to. Well, first of all, Ron's not here. He's parking the car. And we're going to go on the trains now and see what the rest of the track looks like from on the train, in fact. So we'll just wait for Ron, and this is the raised rails, Westall to Caulfield, I think we're going to. And back we're going to have a look at the construction going on the new raised rails here in the eastern suburbs. Maybe I'll just talk a little bit about the Dandenong line from here back to Dandenong has actually been cancelled. There's no trains running. Most people are getting the bus from Dandenong to here, and then you go from train into Melbourne. So we'll just wait for Ron, and then we'll board the train. We'll dominate the back area.
Victorian Railways. 1852 saw the first of its railway companies established. Melbourne and Hobson's Railway Company was called, and by 1854 a line from Flinders Street Station to Port Melbourne was the first steam railway to operate in Australia. In 1856, just 2 years later, Victorian Railways Department became part of the Victorian Government when it was created, and from there rail lines popped up all over Melbourne. It wasn't until 1879 that the line from South Yarra to Oakley was joined to the line to Bunyip that was started 2 years earlier in 77. Gippsland already had local lines from town to town, but over time they've been linked to form one line through to Bairnsdale. In 1888, the Great Southern Junction was established at Dandenong with a line going through to Tooradin that enabled the southwest Gippsland area's access to the city. In 1919, the first electrified line was switched on, and that was in Sandringham, Essendon and Flemington. 3 years later, electric trains started running through to Dandenong. Some time had passed, and the southeast of Melbourne started to expand. Suburbia no longer finished at Dandenong, and in 1975 the line to Pakenham was electrified. Then in 1995, some 20 years later, the end of the line through to Cranbourne was finished. And that's as far as they've gone, but you can't help but think with the continued expansion of the southeast Melbourne we'll eventually see it go further. There's talk about reopening the line to Clyde, and as that area has grown exponentially in recent years, and the Cranbourne station car park can't take the load, you can't help but think there'll be one through there soon. Throughout history, the line, or the view from the line, travelling, has changed a lot, or rather hasn't changed a lot, but it's about to. The businesses from the city that back onto the line were just walls with graffiti. Most of the line was below ground level. Once you pass Caulfield, you see the racecourse, and then old houses on streets adjacent to the line, or the timber back fences that back onto the line. Nothing has changed much. Some empty swimming pools, tin sheds, the occasional bathers sunning themselves, through Carnegie, Murrumbina and Hughesdale, then on to Oakley. Once it got to Oakley, it opened up the industrial views. Westall was the workers' stop. It was a large manufacturer like VW and Nissan and a few other car manufacturers. All used the same factory, they only changed the big sign on the building. Then the Sandown Racecourse station. It was a busy spot on race day, but quiet during the week. Then more houses through to Noble Park, then finally on to the Great Southern Junction, Dandy. When they electrified the line, the trip to Cranbourne was completely different. The view is one you've never seen before. Once you left the industrial areas of Dandy South, the train sped up. You passed paddocks with cows, horses, gum trees, creeks and lakes. A magnificent rural environment at no time at all. Now imagine the view once we're elevated 10 metres or so. It'll be totally different. The views in some areas may be something to see. We'll have to wait and see, but not long, because the speed they're erecting this elevated railway will appreciate a lot of people, especially motorists who no longer have to sit at those crossings for ages every peak hour. It seems like a win-win to me.
And here we are, Caulfield Station. We're just pan up there. Caulfield Station.
And behind that's Caulfield Racecourse.
Okay. At this point, what we're doing here is we're just going to go and get a little bit of lunch, I think, now.
Yep.
And
Well, there's nothing that's really changed from here right into the city.
yes, that's right.
It stays exactly the same.
Exactly. So this is the end of the upgrade. So this is the end of the raised track, and we're going to go and get a bit of lunch, like I said, and we'll have a look on the way back at some more footage, and we'll see you there when we get back on the flip side. Okay, so we've had a bit of lunch at McDonald's, and we've got back on the train, and we've just got off the train again. We're at Murrumbina Station now, and we've jumped off here so we can have a look at the big gantry cranes, which are operating here on this station. What I'll do here at this point, Ron knows a bit more about this than me, so I'm going to pass you over to Ron now, and he'll tell you about this magnificent gantry crane that we're looking at here.
Well, thanks, Craig. Okay, so what's happening here at the moment is they're getting ready to lay another slab. I believe each slab weighs about 10 tonne, and they're using these two massive 230 tonne cranes to lift them up and put them into place. It hasn't taken them long at all to get as far as they have. It's very efficiently done and all computer driven. They tell it what to do and it does the rest for them. It seems like a very slow process, but it never stops. It's 24/7. They really have come a long way in no time at all. The cranes are actually designed for this particular use, and as you can see, they're even marked with a level crossing removal project sign. I can't imagine what they will do with them once the project is complete. Some other speedy future construction, no doubt. Well, now what we're seeing here is the crane being used to move their portable staircase, because even though it has wheels, this is the most efficient way to move it around the tracks. This really is an historic moment we're seeing here as it develops, folks, right in front of our eyes.
Speaking of history, you've got a little bit of history to share with us.
Well, I think that's right. We'll take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the history. It seems as we're looking at modern technology here, the latest advancements in 2018. And I thought we'd go back nearly 100 years, back to about 95 years ago, when the Flying Scotsman was developed in Scotland. And speaking of 95 years ago, that's actually when my father was born, and that makes him 95. And as a matter of fact, today's my dad's birthday, and I thought we'd give him a call, seeing as we're on the railways, and let's see what my dad says about this historical track. It's ringing. You may have to ring twice here. Remember, he is 95. So what we'll do is not there. I'll just hang up. He is there, but he's taking a while to get across the other side of the bed. So we'll just give him time to get across the bed, and we'll ring again in a second. Yeah, how you going, Dad? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I just first of all just like to wish you happy birthday. It's your birthday, isn't it?
I think so.
Did you forget?
Oh,
you're allowed to forget when you're 95. Well, speaking of terrific fellows, now I've got someone here that might want to say hello to you. It's my good friend Ronald. You know Ron? Yvonne and I have been on a little bit of a train excursion. We've been on the Dandenong line to Melbourne. We've been looking at the new gantry cranes and all the works going on the raised lines. Yeah, we've been doing some filming. Oh, it's a magnificent job. It's absolutely brilliant. So I'll just pass you over to Ron now. Ron wants to wish you a happy birthday.
G'day Wally, how you going? Long time no see. I don't know, you sounded pretty good to me.
I can't get around too good at all this bloody COVID and disease.
Yeah, I know, I've heard about that. It's really treating you harshly, isn't it? No, it seems like your nerves just start working by themselves, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they want to go one way and you want to go the other.
I can imagine.
How you been going?
Oh yeah, a little bit older, a little bit slower, but otherwise, yeah, I'm going good. I'm going to be a grandfather in a couple of months for the first time, so I'm looking forward to that. That's great.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Well, look, I'll leave it there. I think that's brilliant. And have a nice day. It's your birthday. And we just thought we'd include you today in our little expedition. This one we're calling the raised rails. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then, well, we'll let you go. We've got to get back to Dandenong. Okay, see you later, Dave.
Take care, Wally. No worries, mate.
Bye-bye.
We're at the end of the line here at Westall to end our day's trip of part one of raising the rails. We've seen a lot of modern technology today with the rails being taken up to about 10 metres. In some case we were riding right underneath the new structures. It's going to be interesting to see in 6 months when we come back to have a look at what they've done underneath the current rails when they take the old rails out.
Yeah, that's clearly the main point here, is to see what they're going to do with the environment afterwards as well. A magnificent fleet on the Victorian Government's behalf, in fact. And so, as Ron said, we're going to wrap it up here a little bit, and when we come back in our follow-up, it's going to be a few months' time, 6 months, we're not sure when they're finished, we will be travelling down the lines again to see what they've done with the parkland and the environment areas. I think until then, we'll sign off. So don't forget to ask yourself what happens in the wild, and don't forget to learn to live with nature and not against it. See you next time.